but we have just recently embarked on, well, I would say within the last 10 years, renovation and just a reimagining of the space, and also a reimagining of what museums mean to the community, and that's what we're celebrating here today.
Awesome. So this museum will be including every single thing about the history, about how Riverside first started, and what's going on in the modern day environment, right?
It does, and if anybody had ever visited this museum as a child or growing up in Riverside, as I did, as my children did, they will remember there was exhibits about the orange groves, there's exhibits about the workers in the orange groves, and about the wildlife, and just the development of our community, right? So Sherman Indian School, so that's all our local history here. But then it also draws on the larger history of our region and our state, and how that has also influenced the development of the city.
Awesome. So was there any grant that was provided by the state of California, or that the city was able to go ahead and help with?
Well, the city really is funding most of this. There's not a lot of money out there for museums in terms of grants. I mean, there are, but they're generally not for huge capital improvement projects like this. So the bulk of the funding is coming from the city of Riverside.
Okay, are there any plans for Albert Unified to have some field trips so kids will learn more about Riverside and the local area?
That's the wonderful thing about this museum. It has a history and tradition of bringing in school groups. In fact, when my kids were in school, and I would go in and do presentations to them just as a mom, I would come here and borrow study skins and taxidermy specimens. I'm a wildlife biologist by training, so it was always fun to talk about things. And the museum has always been about educating the community, either going out to the community or coming into the community, so both.
Awesome. And then parking-wise and traffic-wise, when it gets really busy, what's the plan?
There is plans for parking out back. There's plans for parking all over the city. This is an ongoing question of any large city, any growing city. You always have to accommodate your parking, and you also have to have different modes of transportation. As we move more into the 21st century, there's lots of different things that people can do to get to the museum. So we're also accommodating those ideas as well.
So I'm guessing is that there might be a plan, I'm not saying exactly, but there might be a plan for a shuttle. So when it's December, when the Mission Inn is really busy and the roads are closed or jammed, and there probably might be a shuttle or a little spot that will have some signs, right? To tell people, hey, this is the Mission Inn, this is the Cheech, this is the library, and so forth, right?
Okay, yeah, you can do it too. Why don't you come do it for us? But yes, no, that's the idea, right? Is that, I think the city's values are represented in its institutions and what it has, and Riverside has long valued its history, and any way we can share that and get people out here to experience it, we will make that happen.
And I've heard a lot about the panther or the mountain lion.
The mountain lion,
yeah. Can you tell me a little bit more about it?
Well, the mountain lion, puma, panther, it has a jaguar, goes by all different names, right? Felis concorlis, that's what it is. It used to sit on top of a rock ledge. It was a sort of a immersion sort of diorama kind of thing where you walked in, sat on top of a rock ledge, and if you pushed a button, you'd hear it go rawr, rawr. And so, when my kids were little and when I was little, it would scare me. It would be very scary to hear the mountain lion growl, and it was very realistic. So it's sort of legend. Everybody knows about the mountain lion, so rest assured the mountain lion will be back.
Awesome. And what do you want to say to people that are not from Riverside, not from Corona, not within the Inland Empire, but they're traveling straight through from either Arizona, Texas, Utah, and they just want to visit Riverside?
We have got an incredible downtown here in Riverside that is just surrounded by landmarks and institutions. The Cheech is here, which is a world-class Chicano art museum. We're going to have this new museum here. We have the world-renowned Mission Inn close by. So there are so many things to do and see here in our arts and culture district. You'll never be left with nothing to do here.
Awesome. And then can you also mention about the farmers market? Because what if they're coming through, hey, I need some food, you can just come by the farmers market.
The farmers Farmers Market's been a great success. It's Saturday mornings from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. and we block off a whole section of the street, so it makes it pedestrian only, and you can come get fresh fruits and vegetables locally grown and just visit with friends, get some coffee, hang out. It's a not only a great way to eat better, but to socialize, which are all very much in keeping with our goals to be a blue zone here in the city of Riverside.
Awesome. And then for people that specifically want to just come to the Museum of Riverside, obviously it's closed right now, when do we expect for it to be open, for families to come in and go ahead and just share their own experience?
Well, we're expecting to cut the ribbon mid-2027.
Cool. Throughout managing this project, how difficult was it?
The difficulty was that there were moments in the process when funding was a challenge. We were very pleased to have been able to overcome those moments. For the most part, it was just simply a matter of working through the process, the necessary process to do historic preservation on the original building, which is complex. There are construction standards that we have to meet now that weren't true at the time the building was built in 1912. And then coming up with a good design to meld those two buildings together, have it all function up to museum standards so that we can offer programming on a constantly refreshing and renewing basis once we reopen.
All right, so what was the most difficult part in the process?
Probably the most difficult part was just the time it takes to work through a project like this in the public sector. Ensuring that every step of the way we've done all the things that we need to do with regard to legal compliance, and I wonder why that happened all of a sudden. Again, just to make sure that we met all the requirements with regard to permitting, legal compliance, historic preservation compliance concerns, and then making the tough decisions that there are a few small things inside the building that are historic that we can't keep. So figuring out how do we salvage those, how do we keep them in our collections, do we donate them to someone, that kind of thing. So there are lots of little small decisions. And I think, when I go back to your question about what the most difficult thing was, it was probably just how many things we had to keep in mind and to make sure we did and not overlook.
What were key aspects that you wanted to keep and wanted to add?
Yeah, certainly we wanted to maintain the historic perimeter of the 1912 building. There's a beautiful historic lobby, which is largely unchanged and will be largely unchanged when we reopen. And then figuring out how to deal with that seam between the old and the new, and how to make sure that the standards that we need to reach to maintain environmental controls inside the building for museum purposes, how we meet those within the context of a building never built to do that.
Okay, and then how excited are you for this new building?
I am very excited. Yes, very excited. I've been here for 7.5 years, but as I mentioned in my remarks, many people have waited decades for this building to get the attention that it needs. So we're very grateful to have been able to reach this point. I think the city and its leadership and the city residents who essentially are buying themselves this building.
So what I've read is that this actually used to be the post office, right?
It was built in 1912 as a U.S. post office. It didn't function as a post office for very long. It came into local ownership not terribly long after that, when the newer post office was built down the road on Orange Street. And then it was occupied by several city departments for a number of years, but by 1965, the museum was the sole occupant of this building. And it hasn't really been adapted ever since.
So in 1965, they decided to switch it from the post office to utility.
No, it was switched from the post office, I think, in about the 30s, early 30s. And then the fire department or the police department was in here with us for a while, and other city departments were in this building with us. We shared it. But by 1965, we were the only occupant of this building.
Awesome. Well, and when can people expect to go inside of the building?
2027.
2027, awesome. And do you have any message for people who are not from the Inland Empire, like Corona, Riverside, but they're visiting out of state, like Arizona, Utah, Texas?
Certainly. Museum fans everywhere should be pleased to visit us when we reopen. We're planning to be a world-class example of a community museum. And if people to the extent that people have interest in the local nature or culture or history of Southern California, they'll find it in great quantity here.
Awesome. And then what's like one fun fact that they should know about?
The original window for the people came to buy postage stamps is still there, and it will stay there.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate the coverage.
Yeah, but you gotta go into it.
Exactly. That's what you're going to do.
All right, thank you all again for joining us. I'll keep this brief because we've got some truly remarkable people who are going to introduce this groundbreaking to you. But when we started planning this day, we weren't sure how many folks would show up. But I think it's safe to say this day means a lot to a lot of people. So thank you for coming. And it's my pleasure now to introduce our director, Robin Peterson.
Sincere thanks to all of you for joining us today. The Museum of Riverside is grateful to stand on the traditional and ancestral lands of the Cahuilla, Gabrielino Tongva, Luiseno, and Serrano peoples. The Cahuilla, Gabrielino Tongva, Luiseno, and Serrano continue to live and thrive in Southern California. I would like to thank representatives from our elected officials for a number of certificates honoring us on this day. On the Sabrina Cervantes, thank you so much. And also from the legislature, Leticia Castillo, thank you so much for recognizing this important day. And from the Board of Supervisors, and I'd like to acknowledge in particular Jose Medina being here in person today. Thank you. So how many of you here today were engaged with the museum when it was closed in September of 2017? I see a lot of hands go up. I was not here then. I wouldn't arrive in Riverside for my interview until the following month. But I know the feelings about that decision to close were, shall we say, energetic. Some were worried that Riverside would never get its museum back, and it's been a long way, yes? Well, there's something to be said for being patient and stubborn, and here we are, embarking on it at last. The fact is that there may be one or two of you in the crowd who have been waiting closer to 40 years for this moment, and I see Vince Moses right now. He is certainly one who knows of the many previous attempts that have been made to reach this moment when a beautiful historic building, never meant to be a museum, could be adapted to serve well to preserve and showcase Riverside's treasures and Riverside stories. I therefore thank Vince and many others of my predecessors for everything they did to pave the way to today. We begin this project with a bit of demolition, but I want to assure everyone that the building that stood here nobly since 1912 is not part of that stage of the process. Our effort has been a labor to preserve the historic building and enhance it with an addition that can be described as a 21st century cousin to the beloved old post office building. Our architects at Perkins Eastman, who are here today, provided us with an expert approach to saving the old and creating the new. Our contractors, BN Builders, have already shown care and sensitivity to the historic site. I'm confident that you will adore the results when we reopen in 2027. The historic building will stand with dignity alongside an addition that will sparkle. There are many to acknowledge today. First, I'd like to thank, again, our celebrities of elected officials who have joined us today. I'd like to thank our City Council members, Jim Perry and Steve Hemingway, for being here today. And among many others, due our gratitude, our current and previous museum staff and volunteers, museum board members, members of the Riverside Museum Associates, and city staff. And not just those of us here today, but those who labored sometimes many years ago to provide excellence in programming to Riverside as they work to reach this day. Above all, however, I thank the people of Riverside and their city government, including City Manager Mike Futrell and all of our city council members, for steady support and a belief in the great good that museums, libraries, parks, and educational institutions provide to any community. We have reached this moment today because of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Peterson. It is now my pleasure to introduce the Honorable Patricia Locke Dawson, Mayor of Riverside.
Wow, 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 wow. This is such a fabulous day. And I think all of us can agree we have been waiting and waiting and waiting for it. Otherwise, you wouldn't be out here in this hot June sun today. I just want to welcome everybody here to celebrate the, well, it's not really groundbreaking. It's a drywall smashing to celebrate the kickoff of our museum construction here. A long time coming. I know many of you have been involved. But one of the things that I love about this is, you know, this museum was here when I was a kid, and my mom brought me here. And this museum was here when my kids were little, and they would come here. And now we are going to do this for the next generation of families to enjoy and hear stories about their city, but also about the greater world around them. This is something I love about Riverside. Not that. What I do love about Riverside, though, is that we are so eager to honor our past, right? We don't forget where we came from, but we also are bold and forward-thinking and visionary, and we want to take everything that we do here to the next level in the city of Riverside. So many of you may know I have a daughter who has a master's in museum studies. She got it back in 2023, and her love of museums, where do you think it started? Right here. Right here at the Museum of Riverside. And it's where my love started too. Not only for my city, my people, my community, but everything we do here. So I just want to thank you all for coming today. Our museum is evolving as we are evolving. Museums of the 21st century look very different than they did in the 20th century. And that's because of you. You help us be community stewards. You help us be community curators. So I'm looking forward to a new space that celebrates that, brings us together across generations, across miles. Thank you all for being here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Locke Dawson. And now I'm introducing Council Member Phil Falcone from Ward 1.
Good morning, everyone. Yes, thank you so much for being here. And I think about, what really is the role of a museum, in this case, a city museum. In addition to being this beautiful building, of course, museums, they exist to really make us think, to make us question things, to make us expand our minds and learn something new about maybe a far-off land or a different culture. And this museum, as the mayor mentioned, not only does that, but also for many of us that were raised in Riverside, brings back many memories. And so I'm going to do a quick memory lane because I just can't help myself before we talk about what is next. And of course, many of you that went here for years, many of you who grew up here, as the mayor had shared that she did, her children did, as I did, remember the infamous the mountain lion that we love so much, the Cyclops cat. Okay, that was a little creepy. And of course, I remember as a child the infamous Peanuts exhibition. So there's much here that brings back many fond memories. But this museum, though, is not and will not be defined, of course, by what once was, despite the past being so important. It's carrying that and then looking at how do we then take that, of course, for the next generation of Riversiders. This location is very significant. You are on the sacred boulevard, Michigan Avenue, across from and near some nationally renowned and internationally renowned fellow institutions, the Riverside Art Museum, the Cheech, the historic Michigan Hotel and Spa. And this museum joins in on that rather impressive list, and we are looking forward to you all seeing that once more upon reopening. So, while we think about what once was and the memories here, we carry those on, we cherish those, and we look at what is to come for the next generation of Riversiders. And so as the construction will begin over the course of the next several days and weeks and beyond, as you drive by and you see a construction fence and you see construction vehicles and you hear construction noise, know that is the sound of progress, and that is the sound of the delivery of a world-class institution that this community deserves and will receive come 2027. Thank you for being here, bringing you greetings on behalf of the City Council, and pledging our support to continuing the great expanse and growth of this institution. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Falcone. And now I'd like to introduce Riverside City Manager Mike Futrell.
Thank you. You know, Robin, when you mentioned patience and stubbornness, I immediately thought of you. I can recall when I came to Riverside 2.5 years ago as the new city manager, we met, and you crawled me through every inch of this building trying to build a vision of what it would be. It was inspiring then, very inspiring now, and it's remarkable that we are at this stage. And I'm proud of you, your team, the foundation. Thank you for your dogged support as well. There are so many people to thank. I am privileged and honored to lead city staff. And while Robin and her team have led the effort, it's also involved Public Works, Community and Economic Development, and the planning staff, General Services, which is in charge of all city buildings. And I will bring to mind Carl Carey, recently retired, who led that for many years and was really a force with you to bring this to this. And I cannot thank enough the mayor and the city council who had the faith in that vision that you put forward and then committed the money to make this happen. So, you know, a lot has been said about the functions of museum. I think very well said by the mayor and the council member, but I'll bring up one other aspect, and that is economic development and where the city is going. Every dollar we put into art and culture like this brings $3 back in terms of economic development, and Councilmember Falcone is absolutely right. Imagine this ready to go, partnering with the Cheech, the RAM, the Mission, and there is more to come. There's already plans to continue expanding our art and culture footprint in the art and culture district, and it is an economic engine for this city. And I welcome the day, not too far away, when we'll be here cutting a ribbon on this economic engine, and I can't look forward to, maybe I'll talk about, what kind of cat was that again? No, the panther? Oh, the mountain lion. Mountain lion. Where's the mountain lion? In storage. Okay, the mountain lion's coming back. But when we do cut the ribbon, that mountain lion's of economic development is going to roar, and we're going to have fun with it. But congratulations.
Thank you. Now I'd like to introduce Museum of Riverside Board Chair, Cynthia Zidler.
Good morning, everyone. As she said, I'm Cynthia Zidler, Chair of the Museum of Riverside Board. On behalf of the board, I'm extremely excited to be here today at the groundbreaking ceremony for the renovation of the Museum of Riverside. We've all been waiting for this day for a very long time. After many years and months of negotiations, we are finally at the beginning point. This project is more than just a construction project. It's an investment in Riverside's future. By revitalizing this space, we're creating a more welcoming and functional environment for everyone. I want to extend a sincere thanks to the mayor, city council, city staff, museum staff, and board for their vision and dedication to this project. I also appreciate the hard work and collaboration of the entire project team. This renovation will not only improve the aesthetics and functionality of the building, but will also enhance our ability to serve the community. Please don't forget to follow along on social media as we watch the ever-evolving transformation of the Museum of Riverside. Thank you all so much for being here today.
Thank you, Cynthia. Now I'd like to introduce Riverside Museum Associates President Peggy Barnhart.
Good morning, Riverside. Riverside Museum Associates would like to congratulate the City of Riverside, together with Dr. Robertson Peterson and her staff, for their stubborn determination in making today's event a reality. The city of Riverside has supported the museum's journey for 100 years, and finally that long road has led us to this groundbreaking event. I might remind you that 100 years, while impressive, is only 10 years older than me. Riverside Museum Associates is proud and excited to join the museum team in planning for the grand opening of the new Museum of Riverside, which promises to be a crowning jewel for the city. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Peggy. Now I'd like to introduce Pfeiffer Partners Architects Principal Stephanie Kingsnorth.
We're going to have to raise this up a little. There we go. Good morning, everyone, and we just wanted to share with you as Pfeiffer, we are actually now Perkins Eastman, how honored we are to have been a part of this journey with you, with the Museum of Riverside. The determination, the dedication that you've been hearing about, we cannot share with you enough how constant that was during this process. We came on board shortly after Robin, and are honored to have done so, but everything that is happening here is for you. And every conversation we had with the amazing staff, with amazing city leadership, was all about you. How to serve best the patrons, the school children, how to honor the past while looking forward to the future, how to marry that, and then on opening day, have you walk in there and simply be beyond belief. We hope we can live up to that in terms of what we have designed and what we are putting forth for you on opening day, but we look forward to the moment when you're able to come in and say, yes, it definitely was worth the wait. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now I'd like to introduce B&B Builders Project Manager Jake Williams.
Morning, everybody. Jake Williams of B&B, and I just want to express B&B's excitement about this project. We've been involved with this a little over a year on Pursuit, and we can't express how much we're looking forward to this project. Kind of going back to that memory lane, my wife went here when she was younger. We now have a daughter who's going to get to go to this again after I'm done kind of breathing life back into it and reopening this to the community. We're very excited, and we can't wait for that ribbon cutting day when we get to see the excitement on everybody in the city's faces when they get to come back into this building and really get to see it for that next generation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And one last thing before we wrap up. Normally at museums, we conserve, preserve, and carefully document every brick and beam. But today we're kicking off the next chapter with a ceremonial first step towards transformation. So everybody in the first row, to help us do that safely, if you could provide a little space, and our leaders are going to get into position. Thank you. Thank you again for joining us. Please grab some refreshments or visit our booth to learn more about the future of the museum and the past. Grab some cookies and enjoy the rest of your day. And stay tuned.
Okay, good. Can you take a picture of this? You already did. 1959. Second floor. So they're on your house. Seek shelter. Oh, it's very but our house is really big.